The air in Willow Creek Park shimmered with an unusual stillness, a peculiar quiet that Liam, even without sight, felt deep in his bones. He sat on the worn wooden bench, his small hands tracing the carved initials left by countless lovers and dreamers, his brow furrowed not just with concentration, but with a growing unease. The usual symphony of children's laughter, distant traffic, and the rustle of leaves seemed muted, replaced by a subtle hum of tension. Then, a sudden, powerful presence. A new scent, strong, clean, distinctly canine, wafted toward him, followed by the soft, deliberate padding of paws on damp earth. A police dog. Liam's head tilted almost imperceptibly, his ears straining, then with a movement so subtle it would have been missed by most. His right hand, resting casually on his knee, made a tiny, almost imperceptible gesture, a flick of his index finger against his thumb. The magnificent German shepherd, with its keen, intelligent eyes, paused, its head cocked, its powerful body tensed, and then, inexplicably, it nudged Liam's knee with its wet nose. The dog's immediate, almost tender reaction to the blind boy's silent signal was utterly unexpected, sparking a flicker of immediate intrigue in the quiet afternoon. This was Liam, a resilient 10-year-old navigating the world not with his eyes, but with an extraordinary tapestry of sound, touch, and intuition. He lived in the peaceful suburban sprawl of Willow Creek, a town where picket fences lined tree-shaded streets, and the biggest news usually involved the annual bake-off. Despite the challenge of his disability, Liam possessed an independent spirit that often surprised adults. His world was rich with detail, crafted from the whispered secrets of the wind through the maple trees, the varied textures of bark and stone beneath his fingertips, and the unique rhythms of people's footsteps. His closest confidant, his steadfast anchor, was his single mother, Sarah. Their bond was unbreakable, woven from shared laughter, quiet evenings reading Braille books together, and her unwavering belief in his potential. Sarah worked tirelessly as a freelance graphic designer, often stretching herself thin to provide for them, instilling in Liam a fierce appreciation for resilience and hard work. He had learned to move through his environment with a grace that transcended sight, his white cane a familiar extension of his awareness, each tap a new piece of information about the path ahead. His acute sensitivity to sound meant he could often identify people by their gait, gauge emotions from the subtle catch in a breath, and even discern the mood of a room from the collective energy it emanated. Today, however, that finely tuned intuition was screaming something was amiss. Liam had been at the park since just after school, a routine he cherished. Sarah was supposed to pick him up an hour ago, but she was unusually late. This wasn't like her. She was meticulously punctual, especially when it came to him. The pleasant afternoon breeze now felt like a cold whisper against his cheek, carrying snippets of hushed conversations from a nearby bench, voices he didn't recognize. Stolen right out of his study, the old fool, one man muttered, his voice gravelly, laced with a hint of menace. That antique piece, worth a fortune, they say. Another voice, sharper, responded, and the collector, he's furious. Someone's gonna pay. Liam's hand instinctively tightened on the wood of the bench. Break-in, stolen item. These weren't the usual benign park gossips. The words hung in the air, heavy and unsettling, hinting at a danger that felt suddenly very close, far too close for his comfort. He sat a little straighter, his mind racing, trying to piece together the fragments of overheard dialogue. He pictured the wealthy, reclusive collector who lived on the edge of town, a man known for his eccentricities and his priceless artifacts. What had been stolen, and why were these men, their voices tense with suppressed aggression, discussing it so openly, yet so furtively, in his park. The mundane worries of a late mother faded slightly, replaced by a prickle of genuine fear. Sarah would often tell him that his ears were his eyes, and right now his eyes were showing him something unsettling. He wished she would just arrive, her familiar scent and the rapid tap of her heels a comforting presence. Yet she was not here, and the longer she remained absent, the more the hushed whispers about stolen valuables and furious collectors seemed to intertwine with the growing knot of apprehension in his young chest. Please remember to subscribe to our channel for more compelling true stories like Liam's. We bring you tales of courage, resilience, and extraordinary connections that will truly shock and inspire you. Don't miss out on another incredible journey. The park's familiar sounds, usually a comforting symphony for Liam, now seemed to warp into an unsettling silence, punctuated by the rustle of leaves and the distant drone of traffic. Each passing minute without his mother felt like an hour, stretching into an eternity of anxiety. His small, independent world, usually so predictable, was now tilting precariously. He reached into his pocket for his mother's phone, his fingers carefully navigating the familiar buttons. He pressed the speed dial, holding the phone to his ear, every nerve ending taut with anticipation. The cheerful, automated voice announcing that the call was going to voicemail was a punch to his gut, a confirmation of his deepest fear. Sarah never let her phone go to voicemail, especially when he was waiting for her. A cold dread, far more chilling than the autumn breeze, began to spread through him. He clutched the phone tightly, his knuckles white. The whispers he'd overheard earlier, about a break-in and a valuable stolen item, now echoed ominously in his mind. He tried to rationalize, to tell himself she was just delayed in traffic, or perhaps had an unexpected meeting. But his finely tuned senses, his internal barometer for danger, screamed otherwise. The air itself felt heavy, charged with an unspoken tension. He shifted on the bench, his body instinctively seeking a less exposed position. That's when the first change occurred, subtle yet profound. Two sets of heavy footsteps scuffed across the paved path, approaching his general direction from the far end of the park. Liam immediately tensed, his head cocked slightly to catch every nuance of their advance. They weren't the light, rhythmic footsteps of joggers, nor the meandering steps of an elderly couple. These were deliberate, almost predatory, belonging to men who seemed to be surveying their surroundings with a keen, calculating eye. He heard the low rumble of male voices, hushed and coarse, laced with an undercurrent of impatience and veiled aggression. He focused, his hearing acting like a highly sensitive microphone, filtering out the ambient noise to zero in on their conversation. Bloody kids, always messing things up, one growled, his voice rough like sandpaper. The other, a slightly higher pitch but equally menacing, responded, "She's late. He's probably still here. Boss won't be happy if this gets messed up." Liam's breath hitched. He's probably still here? Could they be talking about him? The words boss and messed up painted a vivid, chilling picture of illicit activity. Then came the phrase that solidified his terror. That old man's collection, worth a fortune. She was supposed to deliver it. The recent break-in, the stolen valuable item, it all clicked into place with horrifying clarity. They weren't just random park-goers. They were connected to the theft, and somehow his mother was involved, or worse, was the target. He needed to disappear. He needed to get away from the bench, away from the open space. He carefully, slowly, slid off the seat, his cane tapping softly on the ground, a sound he tried desperately to minimize. His plan was to navigate the winding, less frequented paths at the edge of the park, perhaps find a dense cluster of bushes where he could hide, or at least get closer to the main road where more people might be. His heart pounded a frantic rhythm against his ribs. He pictured calling his teacher, perhaps, or even a neighbor. But the thought passed quickly, drawing attention to himself, especially while these men were so close, felt like an incredibly dangerous gamble. He had to be quiet, invisible. He had to think, and he had to move. The park, once his haven, had become a hunting ground, and he, a vulnerable prey. His only hope now was his own acute senses and the desperate, silent prayer that his mother would somehow, against all odds, appear. The hushed, aggressive tones of the two men intensified, their voices now edging towards outright frustration. Liam, still nestled subtly behind the old oak, felt a tremor of fear ripple through him. They were moving, their heavy footsteps scuffing closer to his hidden spot, the sounds echoing ominously in the quiet afternoon air. He heard them speaking again, their words sharper, laced with a growing impatience that chilled him to the core. "Where's the package? She was supposed to have it." One muttered, his voice rough, agitated. The other replied, equally terse, "She's not answering her phone. This is getting complicated. Someone must have tipped them off." Liam's heart hammered against his ribs. A package? Someone not answering their calls? The pieces, disjointed as they were, began to form a terrifying picture in his mind. They were looking for something, or someone, and his mother was late. Could there be a connection? The thought sent a jolt of ice through him. He instinctively shrank further into himself, praying his stillness would make him invisible, that his silence would make him unheard. Every rustle of leaves, every distant bird call felt magnified, threatening to betray his presence. He imagined their eyes, cold and calculating, sweeping over the park, searching for whatever it was they sought. The air grew thick with unspoken menace. Suddenly, a new sound pierced the burgeoning silence of the park, a distant rising wail that grew steadily louder, closer. A police siren. Liam's breath hitched, relief sharp and sudden, warred with a fresh wave of panic. Was it for him? Had someone seen him? The siren crescendoed, then died abruptly, replaced by the distinct crunch of tires on gravel. A police car. It had pulled up right at the park's entrance. Footsteps approached, measured and heavy, different from the furtive movements of the two men. Liam strained his ears, recognizing the confident gait of authority. He heard the distinct jingle of dog tags, then the low rhythmic panting of a powerful animal. A K-9 unit. His mind raced, recalling the community outreach program he'd attended last year, where Officer Miller and his incredible German Shepherd, Rex, had demonstrated their skills. Officer Miller's voice, calm and authoritative, cut through the air. "Rex, let's do a perimeter sweep. Stay vigilant." The dog's panting became more focused, a clear indication of its readiness. Liam felt a strange mix of hope and apprehension. This was his chance, but also a tremendous risk. The two suspicious men had gone silent, seemingly melting back into the shadows at the arrival of the police. As Officer Miller and Rex began their methodical survey of the park, Rex's powerful canine senses immediately honed in on something. His head lifted, ears swiveling, and his body tensed. His gaze, intuitive and piercing, seemed to cut through the foliage, locking onto Liam's hidden form. The boy, still partially obscured, felt the dog's intense focus, a silent, primal acknowledgement. He knew, with a certainty that transcended sight, that Rex had found him. In that critical moment, Liam made a decision. He had to signal. Remembering the K9 awareness program, the specific hand signals taught for emergencies, he slowly, almost imperceptibly, extended his left hand. His index finger and thumb formed a small, enclosed circle, while his remaining 3 fingers stretched outwards, a subtle yet precise gesture. It was a trained, silent signal for danger or need help, designed for situations where a verbal plea might escalate a threat. He kept his arm low, his movement minimal, a silent plea directed solely at the perceptive police dog. His heart hammered, a drumbeat of desperate hope in the quiet, tense atmosphere of the park. Rex, instead of following Officer Miller's initial low-voiced command to begin a sweeping search of the eastern perimeter, froze. His powerful head, previously turned towards the designated search area, snapped back, his intelligent eyes never leaving Liam's small, partially concealed figure. A low, almost imperceptible rumble resonated deep within his chest, a sound that only Officer Miller, attuned to his partner's every nuance, would have noticed. The dog took a deliberate step, then another, directly towards Liam, bypassing his handler's directive with an unwavering sense of purpose. Officer Miller, mid-sentence, watched with a growing sense of astonishment as Rex, usually meticulously obedient, responded not to his voice, but to the blind boy's silent, desperate gesture. The German shepherd approached Liam with a calm yet urgent demeanor, his movements fluid and precise, utterly focused on the child. There was no aggression, no barking, just an intense, protective presence that radiated from the animal. Rex lowered his head slightly, sniffing the air around Liam, then nudged the boy's hand gently with his wet nose, a clear acknowledgement of the signal received. It was a communication only they understood, a powerful unspoken dialogue playing out before Officer Miller's disbelieving eyes. The officer stood rooted to the spot, a mix of confusion and profound trust warring within him. He had never seen Rex deviate from a command so completely, especially not for a civilian, let alone a lone child in a seemingly empty park. Yet, every instinct honed over years of partnership screamed at him that Rex was not being disobedient. He was being something far more profound. Officer Miller watched the unique interaction, his gaze darting between his dog and the blind boy. He saw Rex's focused, protective stance, the way the dog positioned himself almost as a shield in front of Liam. It was undeniable. Rex was guarding the boy. A chill ran down Officer Miller's spine as he considered the implications. Rex's instincts were rarely wrong. If Rex was protecting this child, it meant there was a threat. Despite not understanding the reason, the officer trusted Rex implicitly. His years of working with the highly trained K9 unit had taught him to respect Rex's uncanny ability to perceive danger where humans often missed it. His hand instinctively went to his radio, a silent preparation for whatever situation was unfolding. Meanwhile, in the deeper shadows of the park, the 2 suspicious men had not gone unnoticed. They had watched the police car arrive, the K9 unit exit, and then, to their growing alarm, Rex's immediate, unwavering focus on the blind boy. Their hushed whispers had ceased entirely. Now, a palpable tension radiated from them. They saw Rex approach Liam, observed the dog's protective stance, and witnessed Officer Miller's sudden, intense observation of the scene. The weight of the officer's scrutiny, now unmistakably directed towards their general vicinity, made them noticeably uneasy. Their nervous glances exchanged between themselves spoke volumes. The men had assumed the police presence was a mere coincidence, perhaps a routine patrol, but Rex's unwavering attention to Liam, and by extension, their own hidden positions, made that assumption crumble. They recognized the intensity in the dog's posture, the way its powerful body was subtly angled, almost as if sensing their presence. The silent communication between the dog and the boy was an immediate red flag. A blind child, a police dog, and a suddenly attentive officer. The variables were stacking up against them, threatening to unravel their carefully laid plans. They began to subtly shift, their eyes darting around, searching for an escape route, a way to melt away before they became the direct focus of the K-9 unit's formidable attention. The silent agreement between Liam and Rex had just turned the tide, marking them as the hunted. Rex, instead of following Officer Miller's gentle pull on the leash towards the designated sweeping area, stood firm, his large head tilting almost imperceptibly towards Liam. The boy's subtle gesture, a mere twitch of fingers barely visible in the dappled light, had been enough. Rex nudged Liam's knee with his wet nose, a soft, reassuring contact that only Liam could truly appreciate. Then, with a decisive turn, the German Shepherd began to move, not towards the men, nor towards the park's main pathway, but along a less trodden dirt path that wound deeper into the overgrown section of the park, away from where the suspicious figures had last been seen. Officer Miller, initially taken aback by Rex's sudden defiance of a direct command, tightened his grip on the leash for a moment. He opened his mouth to issue another instruction, but something in Rex's unwavering focus, in the almost methodical way the dog placed his paws, made him pause. He had trained Rex for years. He knew every nuance of his partner's behavior. This wasn't simple disobedience. It was purpose. He watched as Rex, with surprising gentleness for a powerful police dog, positioned himself slightly in front of Liam, almost as if shielding him, then glanced back at Miller, a silent command in his intelligent eyes. The officer had learned long ago to trust Rex's instincts above all else, especially when those instincts seemed to deviate from the planned course. He adjusted his grip, letting Rex set the pace, following the dog's lead with a growing sense of curiosity and an undercurrent of unease. Liam, sensing Rex's new direction and the implicit trust Officer Miller was placing in his K-9 partner, felt a surge of relief. He understood the unspoken language between them, the dance of guidance and cooperation. As Rex moved, occasionally pausing to check on Liam, the boy reached out, his fingers finding the coarse fur on the dog's back. He offered the briefest, almost imperceptible stroke, a wordless reassurance, a silent, "Thank you." This small, intimate communication solidified their unique bond, a connection forged in a moment of shared understanding and desperate need. The world around them might have been fraught with danger, filled with unseen threats, but in the rhythm of Rex's powerful stride and the warm contact of his fur, Liam found a strange, comforting certainty. He knew Rex was leading them not just away from danger, but towards something. They navigated through a maze of low-hanging branches and dense undergrowth. The air grew cooler, the sounds of the distant city fading as they delved deeper into the park's wilder fringes. Suddenly, Rex stopped dead in his tracks. His body stiffened, his ears swiveled forward, and a low guttural growl rumbled deep in his chest. Then, with a powerful, echoing bark, he lunged towards a thick clump of thorny bushes, his nose snuffling intensely at the ground beneath them. Officer Miller, immediately alert, quickly scanned the area, his hand instinctively going to his sidearm. He saw nothing obvious, but Rex's reaction was undeniable. This wasn't a casual investigation. This was a find. He moved swiftly to the spot Rex indicated, carefully pushing aside the thorny branches. There, half hidden beneath a tangle of roots and dried leaves, was a small, canvas-wrapped package. Its edges were worn, and a faint metallic glint peeked from a tear in the fabric. Miller's eyes widened in recognition. This was it. The description from the recent theft report flashed through his mind, a valuable antique, meticulously wrapped. He had found the stolen item. From their hiding place further back in the park, the two suspicious men watched in stunned silence as Officer Miller extracted the package. Their hushed whispers turned into agitated exclamations, their faces contorting with a mixture of anger and panic. They had been compromised. Their plan, whatever it was, had spectacularly unraveled, thanks to a blind boy and a very perceptive police dog. The game was up. Rex, instead of obeying Officer Miller's initial sweep command, held his ground, his intelligent eyes never leaving Liam's face. The dog's tail gave a single, almost imperceptible wag, a silent acknowledgement of the boy's distress. Then, to Miller's genuine astonishment, Rex turned sharply and trotted directly towards Liam, bypassing the designated search pattern entirely. He moved with a measured urgency, a quiet determination that spoke volumes. Miller, an experienced K-9 handler, felt a prickle of confusion, but his deep trust in Rex's instincts immediately overrode his surprise. He had learned long ago that Rex rarely made an error. The dog possessed an uncanny ability to perceive danger and need, often before Miller himself did. Rex reached Liam, nudging his hand gently with his wet nose, a soft, reassuring contact. The dog then moved slightly, positioning himself protectively between Liam and the general area where the suspicious men had last been. It was a clear, unmistakable gesture of guardianship. Liam, his relief palpable, responded with a feather-light touch to Rex's fur, a wordless conversation passing between them that transcended speech. Officer Miller, observing this extraordinary interaction, began to understand that something far more complex was unfolding than a simple park sweep. He watched Rex, whose focus remained steadfast on Liam, then on the path leading deeper into the dense undergrowth, away from the immediate vicinity of the park entrance. The two suspicious men, who had been covertly watching from the fringes of the park, saw Rex's direct approach to Liam. Their hushed whispers ceased entirely. A palpable tension emanating from their direction reached Liam's acute hearing. He heard a sharp intake of breath, then the rustle of clothing as one of them shifted uneasily. Had they been exposed? The men exchanged quick, anxious glances, their earlier confidence replaced by a growing unease. The sudden appearance of the K-9 unit, and especially Rex's peculiar interest in the blind boy, had clearly unsettled their plan. They knew the jig was up. Rex then looked back at Officer Miller, a soft whine escaping his throat, his gaze alternating between Liam and a specific direction, a narrow, less traveled trail that wound into a more secluded part of the park. It was a silent, compelling invitation. Miller nodded, understanding. "Show me, boy," he murmured, his voice low and encouraging. Rex gave a soft woof, then began to move, walking slowly enough for Liam to follow, occasionally glancing back to ensure the boy was coming. Miller walked closely behind them, his hand resting reassuringly on Liam's shoulder, his heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and concern. He knew Rex was leading them to something important. Liam, sensing Rex's leadership, moved with a newfound confidence, his hand occasionally brushing against Rex's thick fur, a silent communication that conveyed trust and gratitude. The dog's steady presence was an anchor in the storm of his fear. Rex led them directly to a thick cluster of overgrown bushes, an almost impenetrable wall of green. He stopped abruptly, then let out a sharp, insistent bark, his powerful tail wagging once, then holding still, pointing directly into the foliage. Miller, his pulse quickening, pushed through the dense leaves. There, half hidden beneath a tangle of vines, was a small, strangely shaped package, wrapped in dark, almost camouflaged material. It was exactly as described in the morning briefing, the stolen artifact. At the sight of this discovery, the two suspicious men who had been cautiously moving to intercept Rex and Miller panicked. Their carefully constructed facade crumbled. They knew they were compromised. With a shout, they broke cover, attempting to flee in opposite directions. But it was too late. Officer Miller, his sharp eyes having already scanned their position, immediately radioed for backup, his voice urgent but controlled. Suspects fleeing, Code 3 pursuit, Park East Side. He sprang into action, Rex right at his heels, momentarily leaving Liam in the safety of the bushes. The chase was brief but intense. Rex, with his superior senses, was invaluable. He took off like a shot, his powerful legs eating up the ground, easily outdistancing one of the suspects. His sharp barks guided Miller, who quickly apprehended the first man, wrestling him to the ground. The second suspect, thinking he had a clear path, found his escape route cut off by another patrol car, responding rapidly to Miller's call. Within minutes, both men were in handcuffs, their desperate plan utterly foiled. Miller returned to Liam, his face a mixture of awe and profound respect. He knelt beside the boy, Rex nudging Liam's hand affectionately. "Liam," Miller said, his voice thick with emotion, "you were incredibly brave. Rex wouldn't have found that package, or those men, without your help." Liam, his initial terror now replaced by a quiet sense of accomplishment, explained how he had recognized the signal from the K9 awareness program. "I heard them talking about the stolen item, officer," Liam confided, his voice soft but clear. "And I knew you needed help." Rex understood. Miller nodded slowly, realizing the full scope of Liam's bravery and the unspoken bond they had forged. It was a testament to extraordinary perception and an unusual, heroic connection. Just as Officer Miller finished praising Liam, a new figure burst into the clearing. It was Sarah, Liam's mother, her face etched with a desperate blend of fear and relief. Her eyes, wide with panic, darted between Liam, the police officers, and the now handcuffed suspects. She rushed forward, sweeping Liam into a fierce, trembling hug, her voice choked with sobs. "Liam, oh my brave boy, are you all right? What happened? I was so worried." Officer Miller gently intervened, explaining the situation in calm, reassuring tones. Sarah listened, her grip on Liam never loosening, her earlier terror slowly giving way to bewildered awe as she pieced together the incredible chain of events. She explained her own belated arrival, her voice still shaky. "There was an accident on the highway, a huge pileup right near my exit. Traffic was at a standstill for what felt like hours. My phone died, and I just kept imagining the worst." Her eyes scanned Liam's face, searching for any sign of distress. "But tell me, truly, what happened here? What did you do, my love?" Liam, nestled safely in his mother's embrace, recounted his experience, his voice gaining strength and clarity as he spoke. He described the unsettling whispers, the growing sense of dread, and finally, his silent plea to Rex. Sarah, listening intently, felt a fresh wave of shock wash over her. She knew Liam was resourceful, but this level of bravery and quick thinking staggered her. The stolen item, the men, everything began to click into place, forming a disturbing mosaic of danger narrowly averted. Then came the startling revelation that would send shivers down Sarah's spine. Officer Miller, after ensuring Liam and Sarah were settled, gently delivered the news. "Mrs. Davies, The item these men were attempting to steal, the antiquity we recovered, it was meant for you." Sarah looked utterly bewildered. "For me? But why? I don't understand." Officer Miller explained, "Our intelligence suggests you were unknowingly caught in the crosshairs of a larger criminal operation. These men weren't just common thieves. They were attempting to leverage your connection to a prominent historian, an old colleague of yours, who recently acquired this very rare artifact. They believed you could provide access, or perhaps even be coerced into handling its transfer. They were waiting for you, Mrs. Davies, to arrive and somehow facilitate its retrieval, perhaps even to use you as a pawn in their scheme." The implications were chilling. Sarah realized Liam hadn't just stumbled upon a random crime. He had unknowingly, bravely, intervened in a plot directly targeting her. Her delay, ironically, had saved her from a potentially perilous encounter, while Liam's perceptiveness had thwarted the entire operation. The full weight of the danger Liam had faced, and the fate he had averted for both of them, settled heavily in her heart. She hugged Liam even tighter, a silent promise to protect him, and an immense gratitude for his courage. The story, as such compelling tales often do, quickly spread beyond the quiet confines of the park. Local journalists, drawn by the unusual circumstances of the apprehension and the almost unbelievable role of a blind boy and a police dog, descended upon the police station and later Liam's home. The headline, "Blind Boy Gives Silent Signal to Police Dog," foils major heist, blazed across local newspapers and television screens. Liam, Rex, and Officer Miller were hailed as heroes. Public recognition poured in, transforming Liam from a quiet, resilient child into a symbol of incredible courage and perception. Rex, in particular, became an instant celebrity. His extraordinary intelligence and unwavering loyalty were praised by canine experts and the community alike. The local K9 unit received an outpouring of support, with donations flooding in, all inspired by the remarkable bond between Rex and Liam. Liam's unique ability to communicate with Rex and his acute awareness of his surroundings resonated deeply with the public. It sparked conversations about the untapped potential of disabled individuals and the profound connections possible between humans and animals. The community rallied around them, proud of their unexpected heroes. It was a testament to how vigilance and courage, found in the most unexpected places, could truly make a difference, turning a tense, dangerous afternoon into a story of triumph and unexpected connections. The intricate criminal network responsible for the theft, a shadowy organization that had operated with impunity for months, swiftly unraveled in the wake of the park incident. The apprehended suspects, facing irrefutable evidence and the looming threat of significant prison time, began to disclose crucial details. This led to a series of coordinated arrests across several states, dismantling their operations piece by piece. The stolen antiquity, identified as a priceless pre-Columbian artifact, was safely recovered and returned to its rightful national museum, a triumph for international cultural heritage. Liam and his mother, Sarah, were finally able to breathe a collective sigh of relief, the dark cloud of danger having completely dissipated from their lives. The fear that had gripped them, a subtle yet pervasive presence since the initial theft, finally lifted. The community, having witnessed firsthand the remarkable collaboration between a blind boy and a police dog, rallied behind them. The K9 awareness program, which had taught Liam the crucial silent signal, received an unprecedented surge in funding and public interest. It expanded its outreach, integrating more extensively into schools and community centers, teaching children, especially those with unique abilities, about safety and communication with service animals. Liam's story became a powerful testimony to the program's efficacy and the extraordinary potential that lies within unexpected connections. For Liam and Rex, their bond transcended the heroic act in the park. It deepened into an enduring friendship, a connection forged in moments of peril and trust. Officer Miller, recognizing the profound impact they had on each other, often arranged for them to meet. These were not formal visits, but rather genuine encounters where Liam would excitedly await Rex's arrival, his face lighting up even before the familiar jingle of Rex's tags announced his presence. He would spend hours gently stroking Rex's fur, murmuring soft words of affection, and playing simple, tactile games that required no sight, only touch, and an unbreakable understanding. Rex, in turn, would respond with deep, contented rumbling sounds and gentle nudges, his immense presence a comforting anchor for Liam. Liam's story, amplified by the media coverage, resonated far beyond their small town. It became an inspiration, a testament to the idea that extraordinary courage and profound perception can emerge from the most unexpected places. He was no longer just a blind boy. He was Liam, the hero who, with a silent signal, helped save his mother and bring down a criminal enterprise. His journey reminded everyone that disabilities do not diminish capability, but often refine other senses to an astonishing degree. It proved that true heroes come in all forms, and sometimes the quietest signals, the most overlooked individuals, are capable of the greatest impacts. His intuitive understanding of the world around him, honed by his lack of sight, allowed him to perceive threats that others missed and to communicate in ways few could comprehend. Sarah watched her son with immense pride and a renewed sense of security. The ordeal had been terrifying, but it had also revealed Liam's incredible strength and resilience. Their family unit, once targeted by criminals, now stood stronger, bound by gratitude and the unwavering support of their community. The memory of that harrowing day in the park would forever be etched in their minds, but it was now overshadowed by the warmth of triumph and the enduring image of a boy and his dog, a symbol of hope and unexpected bravery. And so, the tale of Liam and Rex continues to echo, a heartwarming narrative reminding us all to look beyond the obvious, to trust our instincts, and to recognize that true heroism often manifests not in thunderous roars, but in the most eloquent, silent signals. It is a story that proves the strength of spirit, the power of connection, and that the unwavering bond between a boy and his dog can, indeed, change the world. If you found Liam and Rex's incredible story as moving and astonishing as we did, please hit that like button, share this video with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming and astonishing true narratives. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss the next inspiring video. Your support helps us bring these extraordinary tales to light.